Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our June 23rd TDC meeting. Looking forward to a good meeting today and lots of information to go through. I wanted to say that Phil Henderson will not be joining us today. I guess this is 35th anniversary, and they're off on vacation. So good for Phil. And then Melinda should be here shortly, so we should have most everybody here this morning. And Mayor, if you can lead us in the pledge today, that'd be great. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and get started. Before we do, I just wanted to say we've got all of the agency team members here in the room today. I know you guys have had a busy few days, and Steve was going to have some of those comments about your last few days later in the meeting, but I just wanted to take the opportunity to welcome all of you here today. We don't get that very often, so it's great to have you here. And with that, we'll move straight into the approval of the May 18th minutes. Any issues? Do I have a motion for approval?
Motion.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We do have one public comment. Ryan Jordan from St. Pete, I guess St. Pete Run Fest. If he can come up, you have 3 minutes. Welcome. Good to have you here this morning.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. We met on 6/11, so Ryan Jordan, Endorphin Sports. Thank you. Good morning. Let's try that again. Good morning. Thanks for the time this morning. Ryan Jordan, representing Endorphin Sports for St. Pete Run Fest. We had a chance to meet on 6/11 for the last elite funding event, and we were deemed not able to be scored. So I just wanted to take a couple of minutes to give some context, because I realize how difficult the role is for you, not necessarily participating in the event or knowing about the event and hearing just St. Pete Run Fest, not knowing what it is. So I wanted to just hit a couple of key points to give you some context to the event itself. This is an event we started now back in 17 as a way to replace some national events that were in town that left town. And we really felt that the city of St. Pete and frankly Pinellas County could use a community-inspired running event. So we created St. Pete Run Fest. And really celebrating the best of the city, the best of the county, as a way to drive wellness, as a way to create economic impact, and of course as a way to give money back to those that need it. Which, by the way, now as we look back, has been incredibly successful this year. We are anticipating having over 20,000 participants, 10,000 runners, and from an economic impact standpoint, that represents over 3,000 hotel nights. We've got 40 states represented. We've got 9 countries. So we're making an impact. And when we set out to do this, we said, you know what? Boston Marathon, Gasparilla Distance Classic, they have a huge impact in the community, and that's what we need. So we've been very successful after 3 events going to our 4th year to create something that's meaningful, significant, and long-term for our community. So we're creating an economic impact. And then I wanted to address, because I wasn't fully prepared to talk about the cultural heritage designation, because candidly, we were invited to participate in the event based on the 20,000 plus anticipated participants. So we never got a chance to get scoring because we got kind of hung up on that. I'm not here to necessarily define that in terms of what cultural heritage means, but I will point out a few things to give you some context. What you do, obviously the economic piece is significant. Too, from a cultural standpoint, if you just hear race, this is so much more than a race. This is a festival that includes running events. So to give you some context, we have over 50 different vendors, all local. We've foregone some of the national sponsors to really leverage, some of our local folks like Rolling Oats, like Green Bench, like Three Daughters, as a way to give them an opportunity. So it's very much a festival that includes running events, and that's where we get such huge numbers. So I want to make sure you had that context. We have Duncan McClellan do our awards, so very much trying to represent the best of our community through arts. And this year, we're actually including 96.7 as a way to have 9 local bands to give them a platform to get their name out there. So very much a festival. And then lastly, just in terms of charity, because I think this is a big piece of this, last year, last time we had the event, we had raised enough funds to deliver 5,000 meals to the St. Pete Free Clinic. All of our charity, all of our funds and proceeds from our kids race go to the Gold Together, Pediatric Cancer Research, American Cancer Society. And then this year, we're teaming up with Healthy St. Pete to provide recess packs for the 17 St. Pete elementary schools, for those kids in schools that actually need jump ropes and they need to get active during recess. So I wanted just to give you guys some context. I know how difficult this is. You don't know the event. You may not be runners. You don't live in St. Pete. Well, I guess, thankfully, we have Mr. Kreisman here today. But I want to give you some context to the event because it's so much more than a race. So I appreciate the time and the consideration. I'll be here if there's any questions further on.
Thank you.
But again, thank you very much.
Yep, thanks. Okay, any other comments? Public comments? Any others? Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and get started with our finance updates.
Good morning, members and Mr. Chair. On our finance updates, I'm going to have Jim Abernathy come up to talk about revenues and to share, if you haven't read, some of the good news that we're seeing. And then I'll get into the expense side of everything. So I'll have Mr. Abernathy come up.
Morning, Jim.
Good morning. I just want to give a brief update on the revenues for both FY21 and the FY22 request. As you may remember, during our March budget meeting, we were projecting a total TDT revenue of $54.7 million, which and then for FY22 request, what we included in the budget request from the department is $54.8 million for FY22. At that point, we had very little information as far as what the recovery was looking like and what the how spring break would be doing. And since that time, we've made updates to the projections for FY21. And we are now currently projecting $63.1 million in TDT revenue for FY21, and we've increased the requested revenue, or the revenue projections in the budget request to $63.2 million, which is about $9 million more than what we had originally. Both January and February collections were below the budget for each of their individual months. And this is the information that we were using when we had the original projections. And then in total, they were $1.5 million below what would have been the budgeted amount for those months. And then when we compare it to what normal would be, if we had continued to grow as we had previously, they were 3.5 million below the normal amount. So that is why we were cautious when we put the original projections in. And as I promised you back then, and each time I've come up here, as we get new information in, we reevaluate the projections, we make updates, and that's where we came up with the current projections for both FY22, or for FY21 estimate and FY22. What that is doing is it's increasing our reserves. The operating reserves in the budget requests that will be going to the BCC in July, we have $41 million in operating reserves, and we have $40.7 million in capital reserves. And if you remember, last year at this time, it was decided that we would use $4.4 million of revenue that FY21 revenue that if it had gone in the 60-40 split, $4.4 million of it would have gone to capital, but we used it in operating to make sure that the CVB had adequate resources to continue their marketing as they needed without negatively impacting what they were doing. I'm happy to say that we're, because of the increased projections for both 21 and 22, we're going to repay that back in FY22, the full $4.4 million. So the capital reserves will be, I guess we can call it whole, and the operating reserves will be more than adequate as well. So it's not going to negatively impact what Steve and his staff needs to do, and it also will not negatively impact the reserve level that we would like to have each year. So that is my revenue updates. Any questions on that?
Any questions? Lot of numbers. And yes, go ahead. Chuck, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You just said, help me with these numbers that were coming pretty fast. $41 million essentially in operating reserves, and then we are at 40.7 in capital reserves. When we talk about 54.8 million versus 63.1 million for this year, we have a fund carry balance of $25 million plus in this budget. Have you calculated where we are going to be with a fund balance carry forward at the end of this year going into 22?
Yes, we are. The budget will have a $61.2 million beginning fund balance.
Carry forward.
Yes, and that
Can I
is
have that number?
that's a combination of everything. So it would be the ending capital fund balance, the ending operating fund balance, and you know,
whatever that's
yeah,
left.
I mean, and those are basically the two pots that we have. Is we have operating and capital. So that is what we're projecting to begin the year with in FY22.
Thank you, Jim.
Anybody else? Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. Steve?
And thank you, Jim, for that update. And I'll share in a little bit later when we talk about some of the destination metrics, the collections on TDT, so you can see the differences between obviously what was FY20, but more importantly FY19, and so you can see where we are in comparison to that. What I want to do now is go over the expense side. You've heard about the revenue side, to go through the expense side. So you have two documents in front of you. One is our normal financial statement for May of 21 that runs through not only the revenues, but personnel, operating, and promotional dollars. And in this case, one of the things that we wanted to be able to do, since you have this traditional statement, is in areas that were key, go back and look at where we are in estimating toward year end, because the document, the financial statement, basically goes through and says what we've paid to date. And so sometimes there's 3 months lag, especially with some of our advertising. So it gives it, so what I'm going to show you will probably give a truer picture to that. The page, the second document should look like this in landscape. And that was on your desk this morning. And so on this one, what you're going to be able to see at the top is first the operating expenses, what our adopted budget was, what our budget estimate is, and then our expenditures to date, and then expenses that are in process. In other words, it has not hit the paid column yet, so it's going through the process. And so what I think the critical part is to be able to look at the adjusted budget or the adopted budget, and then the budget estimate, and then you can kind of see what we've got left to spend through the rest of the year. So really, in operating expense, I mean, we're pretty much on target in a variety of different areas. I will go through and say, as an example, under the last one, capital outlay for equipment and PCs, on that one, we are actually expended more than our budget on that because we actually, from a staff, went through and got laptops that are dockable so that, if they are working on the road or from home or in the office, they're able to use the exact same thing. Previously, they were desktop units. So we went through and did that, this year. And so that is the largest one where we're over budget. But again, in terms of the overall budget, you're only looking at roughly about $4,900. I think the real look is going to be under promotional expense, and this is where we have our advertising, elite events, sales, research, et cetera. And then from there, again, you can see what our adopted budget is, where we think we're going to end the year, and then what we've currently spent, and then the anticipated expenses that are out there. And again, some of this is on target. At the end of the day, when we get down to it, it'll be on target for the spend. Some of this is going to be behind. For instance, when we look at direct sales, we are just now getting back to the point of being back on the road, where we have folks attending shows because the shows are starting to happen again. So those dollars will go through and pick up, but there's expense we didn't have on the front end. On the advertising side, and this is primarily on the advertising market, which is primarily BVK. On that one, we're in the midst right now of a summer campaign, fall campaign that is starting up. So there's going to be increased expense for that. That'll happen the last quarter. That currently has not been paid because obviously it hasn't been billed. And then same thing under the digital marketing contract. We'll go and end up being on target with our budget for the year. So again, just want to be able to give it to you in a different format that shows, hey, we do have dollars expended out there. It just hasn't hit the paid column yet. And so hopefully you find that a little bit easier. The second page of the document just takes direct sales by the different departments. And being able to look at what their fiscal year budget estimate is, and then outstanding expenses. So again, it's something new that we're providing, but based on some previous conversations, I wanted you guys to have a better feel of what we've already committed to, so where we're going to end up for the year. Any questions? Mayor?
Thank you, Steve. Regarding the advertising, I have to presume that we're a little slow in spending this money because in the spring we really weren't sure what was happening with COVID to get a stronger spend going on over the summer.
Yes and no. Yes, we did have we had advertising out there. A lot of that was based around Rise to Shine. So
Right.
really having a better message around that spring travel. And then we made a concerted effort to say, how much can we spend? And again, starting here in July, that'll run through September for fall travel. And we felt that that was going to be a bigger boost that was needed based on a couple of things. One is that we were hearing from hotels that summer was already gangbusters. And, especially when we were looking at Memorial Day weekend as being pretty much sold out when you get down to it. And then your holidays and what have you. When we looked ahead on some of the data for the fall, we started to see that little bit of a dip. We know that's typically when we start to see the dip. So let's get some messaging out there now.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Hayes, if I could ask, I think we brought it up a few meetings ago. Are you fully staffed on your sales ends now?
We have one position that we're currently in, that we're currently interviewing in. In fact, the finalist will be in the office, I think it's next week, to go through and meet with me, and that will fill the Florida position, which is critical for us. It's one of our largest markets in terms of where meetings are coming from. So then that will be filled. We do have other positions that are open. We have one in marketing that we'll be going through and filling. We have another one in sports, and then another one in activations and community and brand engagement. And then we have some positions that we have not filled, but we also have not had anybody in those positions. So there was a number of things that we cut in the going into the fiscal year. Again, from a budgetary standpoint, there's those that we said we're going to keep. We just wait to that fiscal year to start and then move forward from there.
Certainly. A follow-up, as we are coming out of the pandemic, many of the talking heads indicate that the hospitality industry won't be back to pre-COVID levels until perhaps late 22, early 23. Now may be a time that we overstaff, especially some of our sales positions, so that we can get a jump start on those recovery efforts, beat others to the punch, and then as that recovery continues, we can cut back and go back to regular staffing levels. But if there was ever a time to overstaff, I'd be in favor of it now.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Williams. What's interesting is in talking to Suzanne, we're starting to see leads pile up. Not pile up meaning they're not being addressed, but they're coming in more so. And, again, it's for business looking into 21, latter half of 21, but 22, 23. 3 months ago, weren't seeing that. And so I would say it's turning itself back on, but I agree with you on when it will be back to the pre-pandemic level. I think leisure's there right now. It's the M&C side and the corporate business travel side that I think is where they've got to get more comfortable with the post-pandemic world.
Yeah, Steve, could you add to that another category? I agree 100% with meetings is where part of it is sports.
Okay.
In that area. What we're doing there, are we staffed or not and all? Because that's another one coming on for 22 and 23.
So on that one, we have one position open, and we will be advertising for that position. It was a gentleman that left for another opportunity, and so once we clean up the job description, then we'll get that out and get that position filled.
Good. Anybody else? Okay. Go ahead, Steve.
Mr. Chair, that would be it on the finance update, unless there are any other questions.
Okay, I didn't see any more, so did you have another one, Chuck?
I'm sorry, just one last clarification. When you look at your budget in blue, and the third column over, the second column over, you have fiscal year budget estimates. And then when you look at Jim's reports, he has his fiscal year 21 budget. Why do the two not correlate? you've got a total of $28.8 million, and he's got 37. Now, granted, you don't have the personnel services in there, but it just, I would think those numbers would be almost identical.
Chuck, which numbers are you comparing? I'm sorry, because I'm looking at the two reports on the promotional expenses.
The report that was the new one with
Right.
blue on the top, the column says fiscal year 21 budget estimate. Go all the way down, you've got $28.85 million.
Yeah.
And when you look at Jim's report, fiscal year 21 budget, his is at 37.5.
Yeah, that promotional expense line on Jim's report is 28.6.
20.6, which starts with advertising and ends with research,
and I think,
which is his bottom one. But that column actually starts at at the top of the page, other contractual services for $646,000. If you add all those numbers up in that column, they add up to 21, which is, so it starts at other contractual and ends at research.
yeah, I'm guessing that bottom number here is just the lower part, isn't it? Is it just a lower?
It doesn't add up.
So again, the bottom part would be the estimate of how we feel we're going to spend the year. So that should be lower than what the budget is, which would be the column that Jim has. So there's where you would have that, I'm going to call it a savings, because we have not expended those dollars.
But Chuck, you're talking about the budget estimates, right?
Yeah, I just assumed the budget estimate was the same as Jim's budget estimate. I'm trying to put
Well,
these two together.
the budget column, FY21 budget column in this report
Yes.
is what was actually adopted,
Yes.
not what they expect to spend.
Correct.
So,
That's the,
and I didn't produce the first report. That's done by Terry and her staff. But what's also not included in here is, or in this report, would be any of the capital expenditures that we have, like for the, what were the projects? I don't believe beach is in here, the beach transfers that we make. As you said, personnel is not included in his report. So, I got you.
okay, thank you. I'll go with it offline. It just,
Okay.
correlation to correlation, they don't seem to come close, but we'll figure it out. Thank you.
I guess Steve's point really is that we're spending less than we budgeted significantly, and that's.
You are
that's
correct. Thank you.
Yeah, so. Anything else before we leave the numbers, or at least these numbers? And we'll get to really our discussion item for the morning, for the most part, is going to be the elite event recommendations. So I'll turn it over to Tim. You're going to get us going on that, Tim?
Good morning.
Good morning.
The committee met on June 11th, and you have in your packet the results of the scoring and other action taken. And I'll go through it just very briefly. You had a number of events through the bypass consideration, what we call fast-track consideration, approved 5-0, the Valspar Outback, Pier 60 Sugar Sands, Hooters Clearwater Offshore Nationals, Clearwater Jazz Holiday, and King of the Beach Fall. 3 events did not qualify on the scoring. 1 event at the bottom of your list there, Books at the Beach, didn't qualify in the face of the application, so we did not review that application on June 11th. They were notified. St. Pete Run Fest was not scored. A vote was held not to score that based upon not meeting the definition of the criteria of cultural heritage. And Localtopia received a score below 700. Under the guidelines, an event has to score at least 700 or more to be considered. At this point in the process, you, as the TDC, should review and approve what you want to advance to the Board of County Commission.
Yeah, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If I may, I'd like to discuss 2 of the 3 that did not qualify, or did not either qualify or meet the definition from a scoring standpoint, but if I could do them one at a time so that they're not overlapping. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let me first talk about Localtopia. which I feel like the old saying, deja vu all over again. We were here last year, and it seems like had the exact same discussion about this event, which has grown every year that it's been in St. Pete, to the point where we're closing roads down now because they've outgrown the park at where they're located, and the number of people coming into our community from all over, not just the Tampa Bay region, but all over the state and outside the state to come to this event just continues to grow. I see the scores that were given. What I don't have, and I wasn't able to find, and if I missed it, I apologize, is how those scores, that for each one of those of the scores, how they came to their point total. So I don't know, for example, on the two folks who scored them below the 700, I don't know the reasons why they were scored below 700. I do know last year there was confusion about a requirement on room nights, which is not a part of this category. And so I don't know if that's the case or not, but I'm certainly interested in trying to get an understanding of how this event wouldn't qualify for funding from the TDC.
All right, well, let's have some conversation about it. Kind of summarize, if you can, the contents of that meeting that, because Melinda was clearly one of them, and so just give a sense of, if you can remember, what their rationale, I think that's what you're looking for,
Yes.
trying to understand the rationale.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes.
Mr. Chair, in looking at, reflecting back to that meeting, again, when we do the scoring, it's not like they go through and give the rationale. They provide a score to that, and then we've picked up the sheets. And the one thing I mentioned to the mayor was we'll get him those sheets so that he can look at that. So of the two that were below the 7, one of those members is here, one of them is not. So I don't know if they want to comment directly on it. But again, it was the conversation being held. There was more conversation about, meeting the cultural intent of the category 4. And once we got through that, it was just the straight scoring. So, but there was no, again, everyone gives their score, not the rationale behind their score.
Understand.
If I could, I had a family emergency, so I unfortunately was not able to make that meeting. I did go back and look at my scoring, and if it could possibly change, I would be happy to change it. When I did review it, and I had the opportunity to review it several years, so I have a little history. And I did have some trouble, and then I got clarification last year regarding the room nights. I did make that adjustment to my score, but I realize now, again, because I wasn't in the meeting, I didn't see how close it was. I do value the event. I see purpose in the event. I do not want my score to change it or to be the reason why it doesn't go forward. I see what little difference it makes. I did go back and look at my scoring. I looked at how I graded everything because I did see how this ended up. I would be happy to upgrade my score an additional 50 points in the line item. I didn't change it on my score sheet that I did hand in, but I would be happy to do that if it changes and it would be approved by this board.
Mayor Bujalski.
Mayor Kreisman, the discussion was whether, and I don't mean to mix the two, but this discussion was the same for both, on whether it met cultural heritage. So when we looked at cultural heritage, we thought about the Martin Luther King parade and event as cultural heritage. We'll even talk about the Highland Games that got added this year from Dunedin. It's a Scottish event, cultural heritage. Room nights were not considered. When we talked about the race, and we talked about Localtopia being, a very large economic presence, but still a market and festival that was not necessarily considered a cultural heritage event. That is why those two items were scored the way they were. It's because they didn't meet what we felt, and we can certainly redefine that at some point. I don't think we can redefine it today. I think we're having a workshop coming up to talk about it. Dave can maybe elaborate on that. But that was the conversation. And that was Melinda's conversation as well. She's not here to speak for herself, but I was sitting right next to her, so.
Yeah. Go ahead. Let's go here real quick. Mayor.
Just for a point of clarification, Commissioner, in the past, this group has pretty much drawn the line on adjusting scores other than based on pure fact. Like last year, there was certainly a very reasonable reason to allow someone to amend their score at this point. I don't know if this group finds that there's an articulated reason today to grant that same consideration as to the score.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Mayor Kreis.
And I'm sorry, just to interject too, when you're, it might be helpful for Tim, I don't have the big book. Well, it's in my car, I forgot to bring it in. But there is on our instruction sheet a definition of cultural heritage, if somebody has that and could read it, because that's what we were all looking at.
I have it
Okay.
in front of me.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chair, if I may.
Go ahead, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wasn't here at that meeting. I wasn't able to come, but I can tell you, as I am out frequently talking about the city of St. Petersburg and what's happening in the city, we talk all the time about the culture of local businesses and the fact that that is what distinguishes St. Petersburg. It is that culture we have created, and being a community that is made up of individual, unique local businesses, that is our culture. And this is a festival that celebrates that, and that all the businesses that show up are from the city. They're all local businesses, locally owned, unique, individual. They represent what we all talk about in St. Pete, and what our chamber talks about, is what makes St. Pete unique and different, and why we think people come to St. Pete versus even Asheville, for example, which is, you look at King Street, I think it's King Street in Asheville, which used to be all local businesses and now has become a lot of chains. It's what distinguishes us. And, you look at the definition of what cultural heritage is, recognizes or celebrates community history, our identity. That is our identity. It squarely falls within the definition but again, if you're not from St. Petersburg and you don't know that that's what we celebrate, you might not know that. And so you might not think it fits the definition.
Michael, you had a comment?
Yes, I just wanted to comment. If I recall correctly, and again, don't go on my memory, we'll have to pull the notes, the minutes from that meeting, but I believe there was a discussion, and I think the group as a whole decided that it did meet the definition, and that's why they did score it. So just as a point of clarification, but certainly Mayor Bujalski is correct. There was discussion as to whether it did or it didn't, and I don't think it was unanimous, but I think that they did end up meeting it from the majority, and that's why they were scored.
Whereas the race didn't get scored at all. And that, again, that was a group
We didn't announce the
decision.
score of the race because it wasn't deemed eligible, but that's correct, Mayor.
Right.
Yes.
Michael?
Good. Mr. Mayor, I'm going to present a contrarian opinion, one that supports what I think you are espousing. I scored it 750. I think the definition is purposely ambiguous to give us a broad definition there that we can use as we see fit. I think this event certainly celebrates the cultural diversity within St. Pete. It celebrates the culinary growth and diversity in St. Petersburg. And to your point, it's not a collection of big-name national brands that we see in our businesses in St. Petersburg, especially in downtown. It is a collection of smaller, locally owned businesses. And if this isn't a cultural event that celebrates St. Petersburg, I'm not sure what is.
Thank you, Mike. I do think the group was really wrestling. I think the cultural category, and I wasn't sitting on this group when it was created, but it was created for an events that didn't make those numerical categories that we have, but also that went to what we all kind of thought was kind of a cultural-based rationale. It was important to the area, and to the point that Commissioner Bujalski was alluding to. we did discuss and decide that later this year, we're going to be looking at these categories because this area, for one, if we start to go down this path, it broadens out into many, many opportunities that we have to be very careful of. So if that's the path we want to go, and we might decide that we do, that we may have a smaller category of dollars to be awarded to groups like that. Because I know there's 24 cities in this county that have, and some communities in the unincorporated area that have some real cultural events that they define as cultural, meaningful to their community, that really maybe don't, quote, pass the test of cultural as it was originally defined. So there was a lot of good discussion on that here. I mean, I think Mike brought up some good points, and we've all talked a little bit about that and just felt a little uncomfortable with these projects the way it's currently defined, but certainly I think that conversation is going to be looked at in the fall. Mayor Bujalski.
And to go off that point, that was part of the discussion, Mayor Kreisman, was there are a number of events like Localtopia around in Pinellas County. So if we're going to more broadly define at least what I believe was the intent of cultural heritage as it stands today, not as maybe it should stand in the future, then we have to open it up to all other events like that. And there are many that are similar in Pinellas County. And that's the dialogue, as I almost called you Mayor Dave, Commissioner Eggers is talking about. And so it's like, how do we do that right now when we know at least the intent of cultural heritage was, I think, a little different than what we're trying to make it. So, you know, if we do it now, then we have to do it for everybody. And how do we do that? And then I can tell you in my own city, I've got several events that would meet the exact definition of what you've described. And, you know, and I'm only one other city. So I'm sure there are many.
Mayor.
Just a question and a comment. A comment first is and maybe I misunderstood or didn't hear, but this Localtopia, at least initially, there was a question, as I understand it, as to whether it met the definition. Ultimately, because it was scored, it was deemed to meet it. But what I thought I heard you say, Mayor, is that still factored in potentially to, at least from your perspective of what you heard in the discussion, whether it met the definition or not may have factored into the scoring that it received. And I don't disagree. I think we do need to, and I'm looking forward to that discussion about these categories. But if it didn't get scored potentially or receive the full score that it might have gotten because there was still some concern as to whether it met the category or not, then it was being unfairly scored because it clearly did meet it enough to the point where the score was calculated, tabulated, and counted. So then the question is as a body, when the committee makes a recommendation, it comes back to this full body. We can accept or reject, as I understand it, all or parts. And do we have the authority, for example, as it relates to this one, even though the committee deemed it didn't meet the 700-point threshold, do we have the ability as a body to overrule that?
I believe yes, you would. And that would go then to the BCC with the commentary, with the discussion that was had at this group. I would certainly suggest not to rescore. I don't think that's appropriate, but you can ask the BCC to waive the fact that they didn't meet the $700 if that's the wish of this board, and then it would be ultimately up to the BCC to make that determination in light of some of the arguments.
So I would make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
And I think that's, thank you for that, Claire, and the way that you phrased it. I think that's more appropriate. I don't think we really need to get into messing with the scoring.
I agree.
Messing with it, because I think people had their rationale, and I think whatever that was, it was, and I think we're going to have that discussion later in the fall as to how we might address some of these areas. So anyway, so we're here today to take these recommendations, move them forward to the county commission, and we can make adjustments or twists. Russ?
I'd like to second that motion. I think that Mike and the mayor both have great points. I also have feelings that we've been through this about 3 times, I think, as far as voting for it and thinking that it did meet it, and then all of a sudden to say it doesn't because of, and knowing we have to give definition to it in the future. I like the way it's been suggested to pass it on and recommend it here to have the Board of County Commission consider it. So I second it.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second on the floor. Tim, could you give just maybe the history is short on this event and how it's come here before us?
On Localtopia?
Yeah. How many
Yes,
years?
last year, as a fact, I read the minutes from the last year's meeting. It was a waiver that you all decided to advance this forward. It wasn't a rescore. There was some discussion about a rescore and all that, but it was a motion from the mayor to waive the guidelines and advance this with the rest of the approved events. Yes.
Was last year the first year?
It may have
Yes.
been the first year that it came for funding.
I think we funded it through our culture, through our
Is this the
activations.
third year? Okay. I'm getting a nodding. So this is the third year that we've considered it. And did we pass it the same way the first year and as we did the second year? Or I'm just trying to get a flavor for how we've addressed this particular.
You funded in 2020, and it's up for consideration this year. It wasn't funded under the 2019,
No,
no.
it was not.
So
Okay.
twice we've gone through this.
So
Twice
this
we've
is
had the same
second time.
struggle.
This is the same.
I remember this conversation because I was here for it and I was on the committee last year too. Same thing
So
happened.
same kind of conversation.
Yep.
And last year,
Yep.
we waived it and passed it forward to the county commission.
If I may, just
Yes.
one point of clarification. Last year, though, there was an allowable change to the score because it was based on a mistake of fact, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit different circumstance, but there has been conversation about this particular event.
So did
as
the
we
waiver of the
adjusted.
score get it?
It allowed it to advance.
Okay, so
yes.
it was a little different.
A little bit different,
Yeah.
correct.
Okay. Any other comments about the consideration? Again, I think what we're saying here is if you, in your own mind, you have to decide, of course, but if you feel the project does meet it in some ways, I think the motion, the second, and Mike have talked about it. It's certainly, we're not changing our methods of arriving at that from the committee. That will be discussed further in the fall. So it's really just a matter of whether you personally feel that this is an event that we should consider and fund it as we did last year. So with that said, are there any other comments before we take a vote on this item? I assume we will take a singular vote on the Localtopia project. Okay. So we have 8 of us. Okay. All in favor, raise your hands, please. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. All against? Okay, 7 to 1. So this project will be added to the other projects as a recommendation from the TDC to move forward to the commission. Okay? All right. Go ahead, Rick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On the second event, which was the St. Pete Run Fest, and I know we heard from Ryan earlier, and this is where the dreaded lawyer in me comes out, or former legislator in me comes out, as I look at the definition, and I know it was deemed to not qualify under the definition, but when I look at it, under cultural heritage events, it says, shall mean an elite event that recognizes and/or celebrates community history and identity, bonds to the past, present, future, and/or values and traditions that attract tourists. There's a couple parts in there that I want to call to your attention. First off, it says, shall mean an elite event. So then we look at the definition of elite event, which says, shall mean a new or existing organized sporting event, which clearly this is. And then it also includes festival. And as you heard Ryan talk about, this isn't just a sporting event, it also includes a festival with vendors, with arts, with performers, And it's focused on wellness, which, again, is something that the city is focused on through our Healthy St. Pete initiative. And so this helps advance a key thing that the city has worked hard on. So, I think I could see how we get locked into the clear or the definition of just cultural heritage, but we do have to remember that included in that definition is the term elite event, and included in the definition of elite event is a sporting event and a festival. And so I think an argument can be made, and again, we're all, I think, going to be looking forward to clarifying our definitions and our categories. But I do think an argument can be made that this event would qualify under the definitions as they are currently written if you look at the words utilized in that definition. So I'd ask you all to take a look at those words and consider that this one does qualify based on the language that is currently in place, I believe.
All right, so Mike was telling me that if we consider this, again, just for conversation, it won't go the same way we did a minute ago. We'll have to actually score it, is what I'm hearing.
Point of
Go
clarification,
ahead.
sorry, Commissioner. If you determine today, this group as a whole wants to make the recommendation that somehow it meets the definition, that's the first threshold. Then we would have to verify the scores staff should have those scores, whether they have them available today or not, we'll have to deal with that. But they should have those scores. They were just not announced because they didn't meet the eligibility. So the second piece would be then to determine if they meet the definition, to see if they score the 700. Because if they don't meet the 700, then that would also require a waiver. So it's a couple of thresholds we need to meet here as to this event.
Okay, all right. Apparently some people scored it and some people did not, so anyway, Mayor Bujalski.
I was just going to give you a summary again of our dialogue, the cultural thing, but the other thing that kind of weighed into our decision-making was that Tim shared that they were getting funding through another funding mechanism through Visit St. Pete Clearwater, and they could continue to do that. And so because we had such a struggle, again, we have races all over Pinellas County, big ones, that, you open this door and you're somewhat obligated to look at that for everybody else. And so because they were able to get some funding in another way, and I don't think it was a small amount, I think it was a decent amount of funding, that we felt that it wasn't going to hurt the event. And so we didn't want to open that door until we have this future dialogue, given the fact that we haven't even funded it in the past. And so it wasn't like they were going to walk away with nothing. They could still get some funding from, I don't remember what account.
It's our sports and events incentive funds that we
Yeah,
use to attract
so-
sporting events.
So that was kind of part of our dialogue, and I still think it's a relevant dialogue.
Yeah, I think, so really we need to have the dialogue whether we even want to consider the project for scoring, and we did not want to do that last time from the committee perspective. So if there's anybody that wants to have that consideration that would lead us to reviewing the scoring, we can do that. But again, I have to see what the will of the board is here to look at this event.
I'll at least, if I can, Mr. Chair, I'll at least make the motion.
Okay. Okay.
And give someone an opportunity to second it or not second it.
Okay. Is there anybody that would like this? So Mike will second that. So it's on the floor for discussion about whether we want to consider it for scoring. Yep.
Tim, can you tell us how much funding they got last year?
Through our incentive funds, I want to say somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000.
Do
And
that
that's
same
still
account.
available this year?
Go ahead.
That's still available this year? I mean,
It would be, yes. Mhm.
okay.
That's what you were talking about
Yep.
to begin with. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. I think there was a considerable. I think the group had comfort level that we're going to get some funding.
And one footnote that we can talk about at the workshop, and I'll tell you now. At one point, the guidelines years ago read that if you applied here, you couldn't get funding anywhere else from Visit St. Pete Clearwater. That was removed several years ago. So that is an option that's available to us now, is to reconsider that under our Sports and Events Incentive Fund.
So at this point, they haven't applied for the other because they're coming here, but
Correct.
if this doesn't work out, they can apply for the other?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Yes, Mayor.
If I may ask a follow-up to that question, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Tim, are any of the other sporting events that have received funding here, have they also received funding under the Sports and Events Incentive Funds?
No.
Okay.
They've come here as part of this program.
Okay.
Yeah, Mike.
Mr. Chairman, you know, we certainly have a fiduciary responsibility to use these dollars responsibly. But I, as a general rule, would look at it as I want to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. We are $215,000 from even approaching our budgeted amount for all of these events. So this isn't we're not talking about exceeding our budget. These are viable events that their organizers have felt compelled to apply for the money. If there's other events out there that haven't, for whatever reason, we may never know, but these folks are interested in growing Pinellas County and growing the community and their cultural heritage as they define it. I'd like to think that we would give them the benefit of the doubt while still being responsible to our budget. And we're not exceeding budget for both of these events that the mayor has brought up. I'd be in favor of providing it to them.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, and I appreciate what you've just said, and I understand where you're coming from. I think what I would counter that with is people haven't applied because they didn't know they could under these circumstances. And so, you know, I think that it's just not fair to say, because I don't think anybody guessed that a race, and again, I've worked races, so I understand the culture of a race. I spent 4 years physically working races and putting them together with a friend of mine that's very active in the race community and understands this race as well. And so I don't think anybody imagined that was a cultural heritage event. And so I think race promoters haven't thought about doing that. That doesn't mean they're not smart enough. It just wasn't put out there. And so, again, I think going back to what the committee said, we felt a comfort level because they were going to get something.
Yeah.
And Tim kind of confirmed that was likely to happen. And so instead of opening up Pandora's box,
I agree.
let's get through the workshop. They would get something, and then we could, you know, then open it up to if races are going to be included in a category or festivals and those kinds of things, then we could open up to everybody and let them compete against each other and add to the budget. It really isn't about going over the budget, because I can tell you 4 or 5 events that can walk in here and say, hey, I can spend that $250,000 that's left. I just don't think that's fair to say because we have money left. We have guidelines that people have painstakingly put together. And I mean, like it or not, this is what the committee did. And I just feel we had a huge dialogue, and then to just 2 years in a row now, just go back and throw out what the committee did and send it off to the county, I think is kind of disrespectful. That's just my humble opinion.
Yeah, I think your comment about race organizers or race promoters is probably an understatement, that they are very aware, intelligent, creative, and they look for funding help for their races, because all of those races, the net effect of those races is great things for the community. And a lot of them are structured in different ways. Some of them have festivals, they have vendors, they have, and some don't. Some are more singular dimensioned. Yeah, I would share the mayor's Bujalski's comments. At this point, I'm a little uncomfortable advancing the race that you described. But again, I think that's what we're here to discuss. And certainly in the fall, I think that's something we need. I would like to take it out from underneath, my feeling, out from underneath the cultural category that we set up, and maybe we address it in a different way. So that, again, my thoughts about it. Anybody else? Doreen.
Thank you. Just kind of sharing some past history, although I did not participate in the elite events now, that in years past I did sit on various committees. And that's evolved to Mayor Podolsky's point, and Mike, yours as well. But, there is a committee. We have guidelines. As we've morphed and changed, Tim, under your guidance and the sports committees and various other aspects, the committee guidelines have changed with an attempt to be as inclusive as possible and to find ways to assist these various events and organizations. But I do think that we have to respect that the committee is there for a reason, and just as the BOC looks to the TDC, we need to be mindful of what the guidelines are, how they're set up, and constantly move forward into the workshops and making those revisions as we go forward. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Doreen. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This will be the last comment I make. And certainly my intent was not to disrespect the committee at all. I've, in the past, in past years, served on that committee, so I understand the hard work it is. And it's not easy, because so many events that do apply have a real impact on the communities where they're located. So that certainly is not my intent. I don't think we are opening Pandora's box in this case if we go ahead and do this solely because we are talking about revisiting the guidelines and the categories. If we weren't talking about that, then I would agree. I think it would potentially be problematic. But the fact that we are, I think, gives us the opportunity to address any of the concerns or the issues that have come up. And then the last thing I'll mention is, and I don't disagree with you, Mayor, that there's a lot of other events that could have come forward and for whatever reason didn't. This particular event, not only did they come forward, but they requested and they asked specifically, we want to apply, where is the proper place, what's appropriate for us, what category best suits us to apply. So they kind of took that extra step only to then have a decision made that no, you don't in fact qualify under that category. So they were very proactive in trying to receive these funds.
Yeah. Well,
And if I can just add to that, I think part of the problem is the cultural heritage committee or category is the catch-all for anybody that doesn't have enough hotel rooms.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what needs to be changed.
yeah, right. Yeah,
Because
Yeah,
it's just a catch-all.
yeah, I
And
think
that's
it-
what we'll discuss later.
Yeah, and I don't think it necessarily is fair to put that onus on staff to make those decisions. It's really for us to kind of have these discussions. So I appreciate the fact that they were brought forward, placed in a category just because they didn't have another spot to go into. I'm not seeing any other conversation. So the motion and the second was to consider the scoring. And so we'll take that step first. Those who want to consider the scoring, did you have, oh, thank you.
I believe the motion was to consider that it meets the definition first. We'd have to make that determination.
Well, that's
Yeah.
what I was saying, but I appreciate the way
Yeah.
you said it. So what he said. Really, the scoring is what we're getting at. But yeah, we want to see if we want to even have that consideration. So all that want to have that consideration this morning, raise your hands, please. 2, 3. That don't want to have that consideration this morning, please raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So for this year and this time, that project won't be considered by this board moving forward. And again, I think we'll look forward to it in the fall. But I will tell you that this area we will have a number of projects to probably look at as they're considered by those race organizers. So we'll see how that conversation goes in the fall. Yes, Mayor.
I just wanted to make a final comment. I do think in our discussion in the fall, though, in general, I think all of the events that we have in Pinellas County, and we've got some really great events, promotes tourism. And so I think dollars put aside for a category that, you know, keeps people coming back here. They might not be drawn for that specific event, but it creates a culture in our county of great things to do. And I'm totally open to that dialogue, for sure.
Well, yeah, I don't have any issues with that consideration. And quite frankly, one of the things that we talked a lot about this past year and a half is changing our conversation to more about wellness in our communities throughout, as it relates to not only our visitors coming here and reasons they come here and whatever those reasons might be. So I think we have some conversation to be had. So those the two projects to be considered. One we are going to add to our package that we're going to forward to the county commission. But I'll need a motion to accept the entire package as presented by the committee with the addition of Localtopia.
Move approval.
Okay, move approval by Commissioner Wojciechowski, second by Mike Williams. Any Mayor Wojciechowski made the motion, and Mike Williams made the second. Any conversation on that? All in favor, please raise your hands. Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 8-0 here with the group. Okay? Thanks, Tim. All right. So, delete offending. And back to you, Steve, for any department updates, or we get into the reports.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And before we get into destination metrics, first thing I'd like to do is talk a little bit about a very important event we've had over the last 2 days. I had somebody ask me, how you doing for a Wednesday? And I'm like, my head is mush. We have actually spent the last 2 days, 5 teams, and that consists of not only the staff of Visit St. Pete Clearwater, but our agency partners in a 2-day discussion on a variety of different topics. Everything from a complete data dump, looking at a variety of resources to learn about our visitor, looking at overviews from our departments, competitive analysis of who we're competing with, looking at an arts analysis, our messaging, our seasonality, unique audiences, all of this to pull together a plan that at the September TDC meeting where we can, we as staff, but also as our agency partners, can make a presentation to you that says this is what we're doing starting October 1, you know, what we're doing strategically and then tactically. In fact, the plan will be a 12-month plan strategically. However, the tactical will cover the first 6 months in September, and then we will come back to this body in January and cover up the next 6 months. That way we can account for any changes that might be happening out there in the marketplace. It was great to have all of us on a non-Zoom meeting. Although there was a couple people that did participate virtually from one of our agency partners. The interesting part was that meant we had to have a microphone so that they could hear what was going on. And that did not inhibit conversation at all. And I think that was the key thing about our two-day meeting. Some of those staffs are going to be staying in the market to get a better feel for us, not only from maybe the PR side, but also the creative side. Again, help stimulating the brain and thoughts as we move forward looking at creative, et cetera. At this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce one of the agency partners who then can come up and talk a little bit about their company, just so you guys can put faces and names together, and they'll introduce their teams and their roles here. And so first on the list is, and this is in alphabetical order, so I don't want the kids, figuring that I like one over the other. So this is done in alphabetical order. But let me introduce to you Carmen Boyce from BVK. And actually for Carmen, you might have seen, I know she's been introduced to this group before, but it was behind the mask.
That's right.
And she hasn't, and she, as she put it yesterday, she hasn't had the privilege of addressing the group as a whole. So Carmen, welcome.
That's right. Thank you so much. It has been, the last couple of days have been so energizing. I mean, I just love getting in a room and brainstorming and having the conversations that we have. So Steve, thank you for pulling us all together to do that. It's been wonderful. Most of you, or many of you, are familiar with BVK. We've been around a little bit as your AOR for your brand development, your creative, and your traditional media. With me today are a few folks that are key on the team and have been able to be here and part of all the conversations we've had. We've got Stephanie Barco here, and she's the head of our insights and strategic planning. So as part of the conversation that we were having yesterday, it's obviously working with looking at all the data that we have, a lot of the research, bringing competitive insights, audits and so forth that help lead our decisions and where we want to go with both the markets, the audiences, and the creative that we develop for you. Kevin Cream is the head of our creative and production team. So obviously, it's very important as we outline all this information to give he and his team clear direction so that they can make the most impactful and influential creative for Visit St. Pete Clearwater. Nicole Erlin is on the creative team as well. In fact, she wanted me to make sure you guys knew. She designed all the nameplates that are out here today. And she's been critical because she's a visionary and how to bring a lot of the words and perspectives to life in a creative way. And then Callie Murphy here is with our activation team. So when we do influencer programs and ways to go into market, and not just a traditional way, but ways to really bring the brand to life, she's critical for that and coming up with a lot of those ideas and so forth. So we've just really enjoyed being here. We'll be here through Friday, enjoying the destination some more, and just thank you for the opportunity for us to come and meet with you today.
Well, thank you. That's awesome. Appreciate it. Nice meeting all of you.
And again, now that with, Carmen has been the last couple of TDC meetings, so you'll see more of her, especially as we introduce new things. But a great team. It was fun yesterday. They did have one of their members that participated virtually, and God bless them for hanging with us for 8 hours a day over 2 days. The next person I'd like to introduce, and this is from Destination Analysts, our research company. Now, Erin, who is the president, and you've actually met her via Zoom. I joked with her last night that if she came up, that she would fade in and out and cut in and out, much like our last presentation. But she had to catch a flight. But I do want to introduce Kimberly Cruz. Again, Destination Analyst is critical, giving us the back-end data about our visitors. I know several members of this council really appreciate that data, even in their own communities. And as I told Erin last night, she is probably the most critical element of our partners, because that's where some of our, we'll decide to go left or right based on what they're telling us. So, Kimberly, welcome.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Steve. My name is Kimberly Cruz. I am the Vice President of Destination Analysts. And as Steve mentioned, I was joined here by our President and CEO, Aaron, who you all met on Zoom. And I was also joined by our Senior Research Director, Miha Gallagher. They unfortunately had to slip away for their flight. We at Destination Analysts, we are a market research firm who serves the travel and hospitality industries. And we are honored to be the provider of tourism research services for you all in Pinellas County, from staying on top of national trends to make sure that we can explore new opportunities for you, to looking at perceptions of Pinellas County as a tourism destination, as well as measuring the tourism industry performance and even profiling the millions of visitors that you welcome each year. As Steve mentioned, you'll see Aaron at these TDC meetings quarterly, but you can also find our teams of surveyors throughout the county who are surveying all of your visitors and asking for them to share feedback on their visitor experience. And we just thank you all for your support of what we consider best-in-class tourism research. As the travel industry recovers, we look forward to helping you all stay at the forefront of this era.
Great. Thank you, Kimberly.
Yeah, thank you, Kimberly. Appreciate that.
And again, they were, it was interesting during the 2 days, they were kind of like in the background after they made the initial presentation just on the data, but they always had insight into some of the discussions we were having. So excited to have them part of our team. The third group I'd like to introduce is with Miles Partnership. And Scott Bacon is with Miles. It'll be coming up. Now, Scott, I really got to learn a little bit about him, and he bringing a different perspective, especially when he started talking about hotel revenue. So hoteliers, he has that background, also airline, but his team does such a fabulous job when we get out with some of our digital, but also on the website, and just a wealth of information on the whole thing happening in the cyberspace. So Scott, welcome.
Good morning. Thank you very much. And Mr. Kimball, thank you very much. We were hosted by the Sheraton Sankey. Absolutely lovely experience and a unique opportunity, I think, to understand the product and the beauty of the destination. We're very excited. We're busily building a brand new website. Best technology available, super fun to use, lots of interactions, great presentation of content. And my team, partially here, we also had Kayla Coe joining us, our senior digital media strategist, Janet Fusco, who's probably the best writer out of 250 folks. She's been with Miles for 32 years. Wasn't able to join us, but I have some of my team here as well this morning. Juliana is our creative director. And Juliana likes to say that her job is to make sure that Pinellas County, St. Pete, Clearwater, and all the communities are as pretty in all of the digital executions as the reality of the destination itself. And so she's a real enthusiastic, fun, and very vibrant visual designer across all of what we see across the digital landscape. Krista Harmson is our account coordinator, as well as making sure that all media is trafficked, following up on all of billing and invoicing. She's also taking an active role in creating content to assist Janet Fusco as this executive editor, and very excited to have her on the team, as well as Brittany Knox, who's new. She's not new to Miles. She's been with Miles 4 years, been on our team as our account director. She kind of keeps me honest, makes sure that everything's on budget and on time, and that we're executing everything seamlessly and flawlessly. But between website, other digital that we're doing, it's a true privilege to work with other great agencies, and particularly the VSPC team, who we find to be one of the great innovators and truly visionary destination marketing organizations across a wide spectrum of clients that we have the pleasure of working with. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Scott. It was interesting, and then Scott referenced Janet on his team, who has at one point also lived in St. Pete, and was going through and mentioning certain aspects. And so she has a knowledge of this area, which I think is unique and really helps position our story, again, when they look at content and things related to the web and art in the digital world. The last group is with NJF Public Relations. And so I'll go through and say this. When I came on board, the very first meeting that we had, all agency team, was in end of February in 2020. And we were all joking about this thing over in Europe and what was going to happen. And I got to meet some folks from NJF, and then COVID hit and the pandemic. And really, they were doing a lot to keep us informed of what's happening out there, media related. But where they, blew the doors off came with Super Bowl. And one of their team members was out there, fishing for story ideas and with the media. And we've reported, again, what we saw from that nationally. And then they're helping out with the coverage related to Rise to Shine and spring travel. And so, when we talk about our agency, our marketing summit, the PR element is so critical because it's that messaging. So Laura Lopez and her team are doing a fantastic job, and I'm so glad that they're here to be part of the conversations we had the last 2 days.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for welcoming us to your destination. We're very excited to be here. As Steve mentioned, my name is Laura Lopez. I'm a vice president with MMGY NJF with our PR headquarters based in New York. I'm joined here by my colleagues, Samantha Silvas, Megan Conway, and Eliza Williams, and we all share a shared responsibility of developing and pushing out messaging on behalf of the destination. And we've had the honor of working with promoting Visit St. Pete Clearwater for over 10 years now. And what we're most proud of is, as Steve mentioned, is that despite the challenges of the past year, Q1 has been of 2021 has been one of our most successful quarters in terms of promotion for the destination. We kicked off with the Super Bowl, which we received more than 1 million impressions, and I believe a billion with a B impressions, and over 300 placements, Eliza, for Super Bowl promoting specifically this destination. In addition to that, recently with the launch of Life's Rewards, which was an integrated campaign with all of the agency partners that you've met today, we've received phenomenal coverage for that as well. Just yesterday, Eliza Williams, I'll call her out directly, received a great placement as a result of her media relations with the Associated Press, specifically promoting this destination as a leader in tourism for marketing and coming up with great ways to get their messaging out to the consumer. And that was picked up by more than 15 media outlets, that Associated Press story, including the Washington Post, 250, sorry, as of yesterday, 250, Washington Post, Bloomberg. So we're really looking forward to extending and continuing our work with promoting the destination, and see great things ahead for the close of 2021 and the start of 2022. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. Great.
Thank you for being here as well. Great work, you all.
And I conclude this part is, as I mentioned, end of February in 2020, we brought the groups together. And one of the things I wanted to accomplish in that was getting us on the same page when we talked about messaging, because even though there's 4 separate companies there plus staff, I wanted all of us on the same page. And of course, the pandemic threw that out the window, but we had partners that adapted with us. So now we get the group back together again as we look forward to FY22. And it was so refreshing to see everyone playing off of each other. The staff at Visit St. Pete Clearwater that participated in a variety of different ways helped with the discussion. In addition, participated with the different work groups. Again, a lot of discussion, but we have a lot of work ahead for us. And again, for us, the key thing is going to be September's meeting is making that presentation to this group to say, strategically, this is the direction we're going. Tactically, this is how we're going to make this happen. That way, you as a body and those that watch via the public are more informed of that direction and are comfortable as we continue to drive tourism in this community. So thank you for letting me introduce all of our partners, but I am thrilled to have them on board, and it just bodes well for tourism going forward. Going from Agency Partners Summit to Red Tide. So I did want to give an update there, and I know I mentioned something. It's interesting. So I think it was 2 Fridays ago we had the committee meeting for elite events, and there was a report of there. And I think even between 2 weeks ago and today, there's a difference. Just for this body, I want you to know that we are working closely with county staff, public works, marketing, communication, emergency operations, to keep updated on what is happening out there so that we can communicate to potential guests, visitors, whoever it might be, of what's happening out on the beach. Because I'm sure, as you all are aware, with the red tide, it is floating in different places and it moves. And so one day it might be totally fine in one location and not so fine in another location, but then completely reversed the next day. So part of it is we don't want to discourage business. We just want any potential visitors to have be educated on what's happening out there. So we participate twice a week on a call, a Teams meeting, and then as needed if there are other things that are showing up. Again, it's tragic, of the fact that we're having it this time early in the summer. But at this point, in looking at our social media, any of the outlets, we're not seeing visitor sentiment not wanting to come here. When we look at vacation rentals in particular, we're able to track if there's advanced cancellations, and we're not seeing that. So again, I think everyone is say I'm still going to come here. They just need to have what the factual information is. That's as of today. Now, next Friday or next Wednesday, there may be a totally different story, but it's a team effort, and I just want you guys to know we're part of that. Leroy communicates out, so hopefully you're getting that through the e-newsletters of the updates. So again, I just want to give everyone a quick update there.
Steve, on that, how does that translate to our marketing teams and the group that you just mentioned, this local event, getting the information there and what happens with it, if anything? I mean, that's not even a tactical look. It's really a daily look almost. So
it is. And so on that, as an example, is with the PR team, are they picking up any potential stories that are talking about it, or is it just a statement? And then if there is a story, how do we interact with them, again, dealing with the factual information? So then working with the digital team, they're making sure that on the website that we have all the data correct that we get from the county related to, is there a presence of red tide? Is there a respiratory presence there? Is there dead fish? Things along that line. So again, the report element there. And we have an update section to the website as well. The advertising message, we still have that going out because again, there's not a reason for folks, not like with the pandemic where I'm going to stop travel completely. I think what they're looking for is, I just need to know what's going on. And so again, driving people to the website where you have the information, you've got that, and then looking at it from social media as well, if we're catching anything there that we need to respond to.
And the teamwork effort between the county out on the water with the contract and the beach communities cleaning the beaches, how's that going?
Again, the last call that I was on, again, the county is doing a fabulous job, I think, in communicating back out what needs to be done. The reports that we get said, here's the contractor, they're doing this, or we've pulled back because we're not seeing as much of a fish kill, or, we've got the dumpsters here. they're doing a great job in that aspect. I think if anything, and again, I was not here in the last time we had red tide, but I think there was so much learned that there was this plan almost in place. And so you're really operating as if, hey, there was a big red tide outbreak. And so you're taking those lessons and applying them now, and I think it's better. But if there's comments from TDC members related to it, I would be interested.
Yeah, Mayor Bujalski, and then Mike.
I would agree with you. The last one was, 2018, I think? Everything happened so much faster this time. Like you said, there was a plan. I mean, as soon as, I can only speak for Dunedin, but as soon as fish were coming, I mean, within 24 hours, we had Cruz. So I think we hadn't gone through something to that ilk until 2018, at least for a long time, and we had a great plan, and I think the communication with the county was very quick versus in previous years with certain situations. My question also to you is, because I get the sense that it's not as bad as it was in 2018, but do we know that as a fact? I mean, people are saying, that's what people feel or say, but I don't know if that's because our response has been so quick.
And I'm going to ask Leroy to come up because I know he was intimately involved with the 2018. What we've heard from county staff, and specifically Kelly from Public Works, is it's splotchy. It's not this mass of Black Sea. And so there you have that aspect. It's been moving where I think maybe before it was everywhere. So now you have pockets, but Leroy, I will let you elaborate.
Good morning. I will reiterate that it is nowhere near 2018, and that is from the experts of Public Works. The testing water samples as well. Yesterday, there was not a single high result. If you recall, in 2018, we spent 3 months battling high results. Yeah. And so it is drifting northward at the moment. So Dunedin, Palm Harbor, the Fred Howard Park, Tarpon Springs area is starting to be impacted by it, whereas Paso Grill, St. Pete Beach, Madeira Beach, Treasure Island now starting to clear up and conditions improve. So they have also, the county has also done a number of flyovers. So it's not just the water samples, but also the size and the scope of what they see from the air. It is very significantly smaller. And it is early summer, but we're really optimistic right now. And actually, really quick, the Tampa Bay Times did a story that published today on the situation. And they talked to business owners, some local business owners and visitors. And the overwhelming sentiment in the story was people have pent-up demand. They want to travel. They've had trips booked. They're coming. And they're going to kind of deal with the conditions that may be there, that are changing, and the beaches are open, and they're going to enjoy their trip. So that is the great news for now.
Mike.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Steve, I'd just like to commend you and your team for these regular updates. It's invaluable to us at the property level as we're able to share that with our reservations team, our sales team, our PR teams, so that they can intelligently answer questions that guests and visitors have. And it also enables us to keep our corporate offices advised of the latest of what's happening. So invaluable, and hopefully it'll continue.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Yeah, Russ.
I think most all of it's been said now, but I think your updates, Steve, and the timing on them and directly to the properties and to the guests that they can use for the guest, I think that's improved over 18. And I can think a few years before when we had it, and it's like, what do I do with these damn fish? And today, it's almost like they're gone before they hit the water or hit the beach. And so I think the county's done a great job. And I think also, I know the city of Clearwater that we're in have really stepped up, and financially they've stepped up working on it with the county and taking care of their areas. So you walk the beach, you see it 3 times a day. They're out there checking and everything. And it's Sand Key's kind of that long stretch area too, like some other areas. And but the communications and all that you've done I think is a step up over 2018. Let's hope it keeps moving out. But we thank you.
Thanks, Russ. Anybody else?
If I may, one last plug, beachesupdate.com. That's the website hub for the daily conditions. It also links, and we include respiratory irritation forecasting. So you can choose beach by beach by beach and understand what those conditions are throughout the day: irritation, fish, red tide presence.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, go ahead, Steve.
Great. Thank you, Leroy. Strategic plan update for those of you that have already scheduled or have on your schedule to talk with the HCP regarding the strategic plan. Thank you. If you haven't, you will either be getting an email or a phone call from me saying, please sign up for that. Right now, we're looking at roughly a total of 50 one-on-one interviews. I think we have, at this point, it is getting close to 20 that have been either have happened or are scheduled, or they're working on the schedule, but I still need to get the other 30. And again, I can't stress enough how important this conversation is with each of you as TDC members, several of you in your other role, as well as an elected official. All of that is critical as we move forward. So I just want to do a plug for that. And then at this point, I will go to the destination metrics. So on that, and I'll refer to the screen, because what I try to do is, rather than try to go through all 12 pages of documents, is try to go through and put this in more of a succinct form. The first thing I'm going to go through and look at is lodging. And in here, looking at both hotel, motels, vacation rental. The first column you see is for April of 21. The second column would be our fiscal year 21 data. And then comparison, I took out, and all this is available to download off of the website as well. So for those that, from a picture standpoint, if you still want to take it, that's fine, but you can get it from our website. But I also, from a comparison standpoint, if I tried to put 2020 up here, this would be we would look really successful, and that's not the point. So we look at we look at 2019 and fiscal year 19. So looking at occupancy hotel-wise, April was 81. In 2019, that was 79%, so we exceeded there. We're also, for fiscal year 21 against 19, it is lower, but keep in mind, October, November, December, January, a little bit of February, we were below the 2019 number, so we're having to make that up. You can see for 21, average daily rate of 201 against 181 in 2019, and we're flat to 19 in terms of rate. On vacation rentals, in 21, 86% against 66% in 2019, and then 70% for the fiscal year against 61%. And then ADR, again, over what we saw in 2019. So what you're seeing is, and I'll show that in a graph in a minute, is that, since the middle part of March, we have started to exceed what we saw in 2019. Keep in mind as well, we also track inland versus beach, and so you can look at occupancy against ADR. I do want to point out that we did not track this in 2019, so I can't make that comparison there. But again, you can see an inland, for the refresher, is anything that is east of the intercoastal. Beach is anything west of the intercoastal. That's how we would go through and divide that up. So next slide, please. All right, this goes through and looks at lodging. The black line is fiscal year 21. The dotted orange line is 2020, and then the blue line is 2019. So you can see January, February, even a little bit of March, our 20 and for 21, we were below in occupancy compared to 2019. We officially made that turn above 19 for the month of April, and so we've been reporting right now on April, but if you look at May and June is to date, we're above 2019 as well, and you can see the gulf with 2020. So we will continue, and we'll add that to our reports for you guys on the other. We'll add in FY19 so you can, and because again, 2020, making that comparison is extremely hard. Next slide, please. All right, this one looks at tourist development tax collections. So in this case, our April collections, we were at 8.75 million, and that is compared to 6.73 million in 2019. And that kind of goes back to what Jim was talking about, looking at revenues, where we are, and forecasting. If we compare fiscal year 21 to fiscal year 2019, same time frame, I think we're $200,000 apart from 2019. So the graph goes through. The black line represents our collections for 21. The orange dotted is 2020. I don't even show the bottom for April of 2020 because it really makes the graph skew it even more. But that number was around about $700,000. So that's why I think it's important to look at 2019. And again, almost a $2 million difference. So not only was April a record for April, it exceeded March numbers from 2017. So we saw numbers in April that we've never seen before. So there's what we're seeing with the tourist development tax collections. Next slide, please. This looks at fiscal year arrivals from our fly markets and our drive markets, looking at the top 10. Again, you can tell there's two colors. One is green, one is blue. If it is green, then it is not only a top 10 in fly, but also a top 10 in drive. The blue is unique. So in the case of the fly markets, Boston, Chicago, Philly, Minneapolis, and Cleveland as a top 10 are unique to fly. In drive, we pick up Atlanta, Charlotte, Buffalo, Greenville, Spartanburg, and Fort Wayne. I think Leroy made a couple of trips to Purdue. I think that's why that shows up. So again, just to keep you an idea of where we're seeing our guests, in our next update we do from research, we saw some stuff from arrivalists that again shows that we're just knocking out of the park in the Midwest, which is new. I mean, so we saw some things that we didn't expect, which is, again, goes back to how we strategically replaced some of our media looking at the Midwest versus what we would have on the East Coast. Last slide. This one here is the visitor profile. So I take the fine report that Destination Analyst does and try to boil it down into some key stats. In this case, comparing the 2021 visitor compared to the 2019 visitor, leaving 2020 out of it. So again, looking at daily spend, travel party size, decision to arrival. What's interesting is that difference between those two in 56 days compared to what it was in 2019, which was our, what I would call a normal year, just shows again that short booking window. Average age, as well as then average income. So again, just to give you some sample of the visitor profile that is up there. And then the last thing I just wanted to comment on, and I neglected to do this when we were talking about the agency summit, is to the Russ's team out at the Sheraton. Not only they slammed with leisure visitors, they actually had another meeting group there, but then they took time to accommodate our team, which I think was important because they got to get a feel. Some of them had not been to the beach, And so they were out there several different times and being able to experience that. They're experiencing some other things in the destination, but I think that was a great kickoff to kind of stimulate the minds and the conversation. So Russ, thank you for accommodating us.
It went well because I left town.
I was asking for where's Mr. Kimball, and everyone else came out. No, I'm kidding. The staff did a fabulous job. And so with that, Mr. Chair, that is my report.
Okay. Thank you.
I just had a question.
Go ahead.
Steve, thank you. I know you didn't show it, and it's not in our report here that we received on the table, and you can send this to us later. I'd just like to know the in Florida market where it is coming into Pinellas County. Is it still top market Orlando, or others? Because, I mean, some of our cities do marketing to the Florida audience, so understanding if that's changed at all would be beneficial. You don't have to answer it right this second, but if you can.
Well, the fact that we have it was Leroy, you headed up this way? I think.
I have it, it's just not, I have the report and I went through it and I didn't see it. It's all outside of Florida.
Sorry for that omission. We do have, it looks like the arrivalist markets, you're correct, are all out of state. We'll get that added to the report. I thought we had that in there. Apologies.
We did. We used to have it.
Yeah.
And so if you could just shoot me an email and then maybe add it later would be great. But while you're there, I have one second question. Because, I read through the report and you had that nice summary, up there, the first page that we were all taking a picture. If you can provide that summary to us ahead of time, that'd be great. But the question is it showed occupancy for hotels and short-term rentals. And on our report here, it shows it differently. It shows it, the short-term rentals, under miscellaneous, wherever that is, somewhere. It would be really helpful, because you have some of these reports broken down. You have the occupancy, the monthly city segment for some of the larger tourist destinations in the county. It would be great if this would include those short-term rentals, and I don't think it does it?
Yeah, you're correct, Mayor. That monthly city segment is STR data only, which is hotels. We can do, the miscellaneous you're referencing is bed tax. So it's a little different, but the vacation rental, the key data, the back page in this report, that occupancy should match Steve's presentation. But yes, we can definitely do a in-market city breakdown of occupancy moving forward, if that's what you would like.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care whether it's short-term rentals showed separately. I just want to see the entire occupancy, I mean, for me. But others might want to see it broken out separately, too. I just want to, and maybe it's just an extra row putting the total, but I think it's really helpful to see it that way from a city perspective, for our own efforts, anyway.
Okay. And I can confirm Orlando is still by far and away our number one.
That's what I
in-state
assumed,
market.
but last few months I haven't seen anything that said that, and I thought, uh-oh, something might have changed. So, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay.
Yes, one quick question.
Doreen.
And Leroy, while you're still here, we heard Miles mention a new website. Timeframe projected?
Last week, Scott. No, I'm teasing. We're working through. We're working through the project now. Late July, third week of July. We're in the home stretch, so very, very soon we will. Like a lot of these projects, what launches on that day won't be, the finished project. It is a living, breathing website. But yes, hopefully in about a month. We'll have it.
Yeah, the last week comment was getting this in the back, and the month from now is getting a little nod.
I'm sure. That's how these projects work. Have a little levity with it because it's a big lift. Certainly.
Absolutely. All right. Any other questions while we have Leroy up? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then we didn't have a chance to talk about this ahead of time, but the meeting location that we're obviously meeting here. There's some discussion, the Board of County Commissioners is going to move back in August to the chambers. And Barry's is going to leave this room available at least through the end of the year to have probably our workshops and any other groups that want to continue meeting here. Is that what you're hearing as well? I just want to make sure that, I've talked to Barry about it, but you and I haven't really had a chance to talk. So just your thoughts on staying here. Board, what do you want to do? We are looking at another option up near the courthouse so that we could actually have a larger area, because it's tight when you start putting a lot of people on the dais. Although I've not even had that experience with you all, but I would imagine it's tight when you have 7 commissioners and the county administrator and court and attorney and all on the same dais. So I can only imagine it gets a little tight. So anyway.
We're best friends by the time the meeting is done. So, it is tight up there. And again, if this room's available and everyone feels comfortable, I mean, even we're a little tight here if we have everyone attend.
Yeah.
So again, I think from a production standpoint, it might be easier there, but I'll check with necessary parties and say.
We'll talk about that again next month. And just be thinking about that. I mean, really, our board decided that we're moving back and we're leaving it up to like the Ford Pinellas board to make their decision through the end of the year when they want to move back, and this group as well. So we'll have that conversation next month. Anything else to report? Any other comments from the members before we adjourn? No? All right, well, thank you all for being here today. Enjoy your summer months, but the next couple weeks, for sure. Happy 4th of July to everybody. Fireworks are coming back in some cities, so please be careful. Enjoy. Have good family events over the holidays, and we'll see you on July 17th, I think it is, right? Yep. Okay, this meeting's adjourned.